Yeah, just a couple more points I want to make, Dawn, and then I'll ask you. You will hear, and this major that I talked to made both of these points, that the SOFA, the Status of Forces Agreement that President Bush passed on his own, that says that the Iraqi government is now in control, that now supersedes, and that says we have to send the troops there. The SOFA was not ratified by Congress, and Bush does not have the power to enact a treaty on his own. That was a unilateral thing, and it wasn't passed by Congress. It is not. It does not oblige the Guard units to go. The SOFA doesn't. Also, they'll say, well, Congress keeps funding it. Congress keeps funding the war. Isn't that approval? I mean, if they didn't approve of it, then why are they sending money for it? Approval of the money is not a tacit endorsement of the war. And again, you have to have the legal authorization, and it's not necessarily tied together. I use this analogy of, if your child is kidnapped, and the kidnappers say, you give us $100 to feed her, and if you don't give us the $100, we're not going to give her any food, and you give them the $100, that doesn't mean you approve of the kidnapping. That's an example. It's just legally, and this isn't just Leah Bolger saying this. When I work on the National Steering Committee, we have a lawyer, a constitutional expert named Benson Scotch, who has written legal briefs about this, and it is his opinion that approving the money is not an improvement of the war. And when we also, the way they couched the money was you got to support the troops. I talked to Darlene Hooley, my congresswoman, who said, well, if we don't approve this money, the homes are going to be foreclosed on, and children are going to go hungry because they're not going to get paid, and that's just crap. But here we have a congresswoman that believed that. So the way it was phrased, if you got to pass the money or you don't support the troops, so they passed the money. But that doesn't mean they approve of the reason. So that is not a good argument. And the last one is that people say, well, it's too late. It's too late to stop the Oregon Guard from deploying. There's not enough time. And in all honesty, that may be so, that there is not enough time for the legal process to work. And even if everything goes right and we get this passed, that could be true. But it is so important that we keep working on this and we get it passed so that we set the precedent. Because if one state could get this passed, and I told you there are 22 states involved now, if one state could get this passed, can you imagine the ripple effect that would have? And other governors, no governor wants to be the first one to stand up and say, I'm going to challenge this. So we want to get our House and our Senate to pass the legislation, which should give the governor the political cover he needs, the backbone he needs to say, yes, I think that I have a legal challenge here, and I'm doing what's best for the state and the people in my state. And hopefully, if it's too late for our state, it won't be too late for the next state. And we could be the leaders on this. We really have made incredible strides so far. I was talking on a call when I mentioned that we had 7,100 plus signatures on a petition. This was a woman from New York, and she said, how'd you get so many signatures? That's growing. In New York, we only have about 1,500. New York. So you guys have done tremendous work so far. We've made it clear, and we've got some. We've got a rally day coming up on the 15th of March. There will be a rally here in Salem. And then on the 16th, the very next day, will be a lobby day where we're going to be going to each of the offices and encouraging them to either sign on, co-sponsor, or thanking them for being a co-sponsor. So those are two big things that are coming up. And now I'd like to talk a moment about the postcards, and then Peter's going to talk to you about the whole legislative process. In your packets are two postcards. You got two because you have two people that represent you in the state legislature. One is your representative and one is your senator. And now I'm not talking about Congress. I'm not talking about Blumenauer and DeFazio. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people like Chip Shields and Sarah Gelser and Senator Vicki Walker. If you do not know who your state representatives are, or your state senators, we will look that up for you. I have a laptop. The VFP 72 table back there has a laptop. So we can figure out who your state reps are. And then that sheet, that purple sheet that's in your packets, has their office number, and it has the mailing address on the bottom that everybody uses, right. But these postcards, you will note, there's no place to put a mailing address to the recipient. There's just for you. Just a second, Barb. And so it's just from you. And what we're going to do is gather them up, and then we will walk them over to the Capitol building and then just hand them to the offices. And nobody has to worry about postage or getting the right address, and it's hand delivered. So when you fill out your cards, if you need help figuring out who your representative is, we can do that for you. And then you can leave the cards with me on the VFP table, and then we'll worry about distributing them